Before empires drew borders, before history decided who mattered, there were civilizations that shaped entire continents. They were advanced, they were sustainable, and they were never meant to be remembered. Stay until the end, and you'll understand why these indigenous civilizations weren't simply conquered, but deliberately ignored by history itself. Before the word discovery ever existed, the world was already inhabited by millions of people living in complex, organized societies. Across the Americas, Africa, Australia, and large parts of Asia, indigenous civilizations had developed in close relationship with their environment. These societies were not chaotic or primitive. They were deeply structured, adaptive, and resilient. They built cities without stone castles, roads without asphalt, and systems of governance without kings. Their understanding of land, seasons, and ecosystems was not written in books, but encoded in ritual, memory, and practice, passed down through generations. History often begins when Europeans arrive, but that beginning is artificial. It ignores thousands of years of human innovation that existed long before imperial maps were drawn. This was not an empty world waiting to be claimed. It was a world already complete. Many indigenous civilizations did not organize power vertically. They did not worship kings or emperors. Authority was often shared, temporary, or earned through wisdom, experience, and service to the community. Decision-making was collective. Councils debated. Elders advised. Leaders could be removed if they lost the trust of the people. These systems valued balance over domination and responsibility over control. To empires built on hierarchy, conquest, and obedience, this way of life was threatening. If people could govern themselves without crowns, then monarchy itself became unnecessary. So these civilizations were labeled, quote, uncivilized, not because they lacked structure, but because their structure challenged imperial ideology. For centuries, historians claimed indigenous people never built real cities. Archaeology has proven that claim false. In the Amazon, vast urban networks were hidden beneath dense jungle canopies. In North America, Cahokia housed tens of thousands of people and rivaled European cities in scale. In Africa, Great Zimbabwe controlled trade routes stretching across continents. These cities were planned, engineered, and sustained with deep ecological knowledge. They didn't rely on exploitation, they relied on balance. If stories like these are new to you, that's not accidental. And if you want more long-form documentaries that uncover the histories we were never taught, it would really help to subscribe and like the video. It allows us to keep bringing these forgotten stories to light. Because these cities were never lost, they were ignored. Indigenous civilizations developed advanced knowledge systems without written alphabets. This made their wisdom vulnerable to erasure. Medicinal plants, surgical practices, agricultural techniques, astronomical observations, all existed within oral traditions, ceremonies, and lived experience. Knowledge was not stored on paper, but in people. Colonial powers dismissed what they could not categorize. Oral knowledge was labeled superstition. Spiritual practices were labeled primitive. But refusing to write something down does not make it less intelligent. It makes it harder for conquerors to steal. When empires arrived, they brought more than weapons. They brought diseases, forced labor systems, religious domination, and land seizures. Indigenous populations were devastated not just physically, but culturally. Languages were banned, traditions criminalized, children taken from families and taught to forget who they were. This was not accidental destruction. It was systematic dismantling. Colonization required more than land. It required silence. Most historical records were written by colonizers. Indigenous voices were excluded, distorted, or erased entirely. Resistance was portrayed as savagery. Survival was framed as backwardness. Entire civilizations were reduced to footnotes or stereotypes. When only one side tells the story, truth becomes optional. And generations grew up believing a lie. Indigenous civilizations did not survive by accident. They survived because survival itself became a form of resistance. As colonization expanded, open resistance was often met with overwhelming violence. Entire villages were destroyed, leaders were executed, cultures were targeted deliberately. In response, indigenous societies adapted in ways history rarely acknowledges. Languages were no longer spoken openly. They were whispered. Traditions were no longer practiced publicly. They were embedded into daily life. Songs carried history. Dances preserved identity. Stories passed knowledge disguised as myth. Survival was not weakness. It was strategy. Every generation that remembered who they were, even in silence, was an act of defiance against erasure. For centuries, indigenous knowledge was dismissed as primitive. Today, that same knowledge is being rediscovered as essential. Modern science is now confirming what indigenous civilizations practiced for thousands of years: sustainable agriculture, ecological balance, biodiversity preservation, climate resilience, and holistic medicine. Controlled forest burns, once labeled destructive, are now recognized as vital for ecosystem health. Crop diversity, once ignored, is now key to food security. Traditional water management systems outperform modern infrastructure in some regions. This is not coincidence. It is delayed recognition. The future increasingly depends on wisdom the past tried to erase. Indigenous civilizations were not ignored because they were insignificant. They were ignored because they were inconvenient. If these societies were advanced, if they were organized, if they lived sustainably without empires, then colonization could not be framed as progress. It would have to be acknowledged as replacement. Erasing indigenous civilizations made empire building appear necessary, inevitable, even benevolent. Remembering them would have forced accountability. So history chose silence. Here is the truth. History rarely confronts honestly. Indigenous civilizations were not forgotten by accident. They were ignored by design. Their erasure made room for empires. Their silence made conquest seem justified. Their absence made exploitation invisible. But silence is fragile. Today, indigenous voices are reclaiming history. Archaeology is rewriting narratives. Science is validating ancient knowledge. And memory is returning where it was once forbidden. These civilizations never disappeared. They endured. And remembering them does not rewrite history. It finally completes it. Thank you for watching until the end. If this story meant something to you, write in the comments which country you're watching from. I'll personally thank you in the next video. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll continue uncovering the histories the world tried to ignore.